The swing is gone. I'm standing in the backyard at 6:43 a.m., barefoot in dew-wet grass, staring at the empty patch where my daughter's tire swing used to hang. My name's Nathan Wells. I'm 38, live in a quiet cul-de-sac in Cedar Hills, and I built that swing myself last fall. Painted it robin's egg blue, tied it with weather-rated rope, even carved to Emma Love Dad into the side. Now it's vanished. I don't mean blew away in the wind. Vanished. I mean gone. Before I forget, if you like true stories with petty revenge and neighbor drama that spirals out of control, subscribe and leave a comment. You won't want to miss this one. Anyway, I stare at the hanging branch where the swing had dangled just yesterday. The rope was cut, clean, near the knot. No fray, no chew marks, definitely not squirrels. I look over the fence toward Reagan's yard. Yes, that Reagan, the one who once reported my recycling bin for being unsightly and called the HOA when I hung solar lanterns on my fence. The kind of woman who uses the words decorum and standards as weapons. She's in her backyard now, of course, watering her hydrangeas at sunrise like she's prepping for a gardening competition no one asked for. She doesn't look over, doesn't even flinch. I call out casually, "Hey, Reagan, morning." She glances up, squints behind her rhinestone sunglasses. "Hello. You didn't happen to see anyone messing around back here last night, did you? My daughter's swing's missing." She turns off the hose and tilts her head, feigning sympathy like it's a performance. "Oh, no, I didn't see a thing." That's terrible. Maybe. Wind? It's June. We've had nothing but still, muggy nights. But I nod. Yeah. Maybe. She smiles, the kind of smile people give when they think they've already won. Later that day, after I pick up Emma from her summer art camp, I take her straight to the backyard. She's 7, just finished a popsicle. She still has a red stain across her lip. She stops when she sees the empty branch. Her mouth opens slightly. She doesn't say anything, just looks at the ground. I hate how quiet she gets. I hate how disappointment makes her shrink. "I'll fix it," I say quickly. "I'll find it." She nods once, walks back toward the porch. The next morning, I do a slow walk around the block before work. I don't know what I'm hoping to find. A blue tire rolling across the road like a lost puppy? I'm halfway down the street when I see it. In Reagan's yard, hanging from her tree. There's the swing, my swing, swaying gently from the big oak near her porch, tied with the exact same rope. There's even a faint glimpse of the paint I'd brushed over the tire's curve. But the carving to Emma Love Dad is gone. Sanded out. It hits me like a slap. I walk right up to her front door. I don't even knock, just stand there, breathing through the sudden rage. She opens it before I can second-guess anything. Hair curled, lips painted, holding a mug that says, "But first, coffee." "Nathan," she says with fake surprise, "you stole my swing." She blinks. "Excuse me? That's my daughter's swing. You took it from my tree." She stares at me like I'm the irrational one. I didn't take anything. That swing was left out. Unsecured. Technically, it was hanging over the shared property line. "You mean your tree leaned over my fence and my swing was in my yard?" I suggest you read the HOA landscaping guidelines. You can't just attach things to trees willy-nilly. "I didn't attach anything to your tree." "Well," she shrugs, sipping her coffee, "maybe you should take better care of your things." I want to scream. I want to tear that swing down in front of her, throw it in the back of my truck, and leave skid marks on her petunias. But Emma's face pops into my mind. How quiet she got. How she wouldn't ask for the swing back, even if she could. Reagan closes the door with the finality of a judge's gavel. I head home, furious and helpless. For a few hours, I pace the living room, scrolling through HOA guidelines like they're ancient runes. I consider writing a formal complaint, but the last time I did that, they fined me for using non-regulation exterior lighting. Emma walks in while I'm still scrolling. She peers over my shoulder. "Did you find it?" she asks. "I did," I say, "but someone else is using it now." She nods again. "It's okay. It isn't. That night, I sit on the back steps with a beer and watch the spot where the swing used to be. The tree still moves in the breeze, but it looks off, empty, like a smile missing a tooth. And then it hits me. She thinks she won. She thinks because she cut a rope and moved a swing that the story's over. But I've spent years designing ads for a living. I know how to tell a story, and I know where hers ends. Right there, on that wooden fence separating our yards. See, Reagan's fence, it's technically on her property, But one side of it, my side, faces my yard, and that side is mine to decorate. And suddenly I know exactly how I'm going to get that swing back. Not with force, not with threats, but with something way more powerful: public humiliation. I just need a little paint and a whole lot of patience. The first time I paint on the fence, it's subtle. Just a simple blue tire swing identical to the one I built for Emma, hovering on the leftmost panel like a ghost. No words, no shading, just the outline. I do it at night, under string lights clipped to the eaves of the porch, headphones in, Pepper snoozing nearby. It takes less than 20 minutes, but when I step back and look at it, I feel something shift. Not just defiance, clarity. The next morning, I drink my coffee slow, standing at the kitchen window where I can see the fence from a perfect angle. The sun hits the fresh paint just right, and the blue pops like neon against the weathered wood. 10 minutes later, Reagan's blinds snap open. I don't look away. I want her to see me watching. She appears on her porch with her phone in hand, clicks a photo, marches across her lawn in her signature business casual confrontation outfit, blazer, leggings, and a visor. She doesn't bother to come around to my yard. She just yells from the other side of the fence, "Nathan?" "Morning, Reagan." "What is that on my fence?" "That." I sip my coffee. "That's Emma's swing. Thought it should live where it was last loved." She scoffs. "You can't paint my fence." "I didn't. I painted my side of your fence. It's on my property." "That's graffiti. It's art. It's harassment." I point to the HOA handbook tucked under my arm. Section 7.3, decorative, non-commercial displays are permitted on property-facing surfaces, provided they're not vulgar or political. "You're pushing it," she snaps. I smile. "So are you." She storms back into her house without another word. Pepper barks once, like punctuation. The next day, I add a second panel, a silhouette of a girl standing beneath the swing, reaching up for it. Emma sees it when she comes out to water the tomatoes and freezes. "Is that me?" "It could be," I say. She tilts her head. "Is it sad?" "Maybe a little." She nods like that makes sense. The drawings stay up for 2 days before the email comes in. Subject line: concern regarding fence art. It's from the HOA, well, from Dale, the secretary who always ends his emails with "Warmly Dale," even when he's writing about lawn violations. He wants to gently remind me that public-facing displays must be respectful and not cause friction among neighbors. I reply with a photo of Reagan's swing. My swing, still hanging in her tree. No response, so I keep going. By the end of the week, the entire left half of the fence has transformed into a timeline. First the swing, then the girl, then a man beside her, me if you squint, with a saw and a bucket of paint. The style is simple, almost childlike, like a storybook no one's quite finished reading. It's not loud, it's not angry, but it is honest. People start noticing. 2 houses down, Mrs. Lillian, who's lived here since the 1980s, stops by with a bag of lemons and tells me, "You've got good lines in your figures. Ever take a class?" "I haven't." She nods. "You should." 3 teenagers walk past on a Saturday and point at the panels. One says, Yo, is this about the swing stealing lady?" Another answers, "For sure." "He's going full Banksy." I chuckle under my breath. If I'm Banksy, then Reagan is definitely my art critic, scowling from her porch in a campaign against color. On Monday morning, she puts up a motion-activated sprinkler aimed directly at the fence. It soaks half my rose bed before I rig a tarp with gutter hooks to block it. She doubles down, installs a no trespassing sign facing my yard. I hang a mirror on the fence so it reflects the sign back at her. I label it perspective. By Thursday, the war has gone viral. Well, neighborhood viral. Someone posts a photo of the mural on Nextdoor. Caption, "Local dad versus HOA queen. This fence tells a story." Comments pour in, some supportive, a few furious. One person says, "Art has no place in residential zones." Another says, "Finally some personality in this beige neighborhood." Emma reads over my shoulder and giggles. "They called you fence guy." I've been called worse. "You should add a cat. Every story needs a cat." The next night I do. A striped gray one curling at the feet of the painted girl. Emma names it Marble. Later that week, Reagan hosts a community coffee circle in her yard, clearly a PR move to reclaim her social standing. Only 3 people show up and 2 leave early when the wind picks up and carries the faint scent of paint thinner from my side of the fence. She files an official complaint with the HOA. I file a property survey. Turns out, her fence, 6 inches over my line. 6. Glorious. Inches. I take a photo of the surveyor's tape stretching between our yards, frame it, hang it next to the panel of Marble the cat. Reagan is livid. She threatens to sue. I remind her that technically she owes me rent for every square inch that fence has stood on my land. Instead of backing down, she escalates. She covers her side of the fence with blackout fabric. So I go bigger. The next panel features a billboard, painted in full detail, right in the middle of the fence. On it, the words, "You took her swing, I took my space." Underneath, the same blue swing, empty again. But this time, it's not sad, it's soaring. Reagan doesn't come outside for 3 days after that. But I do, every evening, with Emma beside me, paintbrush in one hand, lemonade in the other. Because the thing is, when someone takes something precious from your child and tries to act like it never mattered, you don't just get even. You remind the world that it did. 2 weeks into the fence mural saga, I receive a letter via certified mail. The envelope is thick, formal, the kind of thing that smells like copier toner and passive aggression. Inside, an official notice from the HOA requesting I cease and desist all property-facing artwork that may be construed as inflammatory or disruptive to community harmony. They underlined disruptive, no mention, of course, of the fact that Reagan stole a literal swing from a child. No mention of how her blackout tarp looks like someone's hiding a crime scene in their yard. Just me, the dad with a paintbrush and a grudge. I reread the letter twice, then pin it to the fence. I paint a cartoon version of myself holding the letter, with steam coming out of his ears and eyes, bugging out like a Looney Tune. Emma sees it the next morning and laughs so hard she nearly drops her cereal bowl. "They're really scared of paint," she says. "Terrified." I nod. I can feel the tension tightening in the neighborhood like a rubber band. Every neighbor we bump into at the grocery store or post office seems to know about the feud, even if they pretend otherwise. There's a strange shift happening. People aren't just picking sides, they're watching a show, and that's when it clicks. This isn't just petty drama anymore, it's narrative. So I do something I should have done from the start. I call my cousin Troy, who works for a local surveying company. "Troy," I say, "I need you to settle something." He's over the next day with his laser level and property plat. Within 20 minutes, he confirms it. Reagan's fence cuts 6 inches into my yard along the entire western edge. Not just a corner, the whole stretch. "Honestly, Nate," he says, crouching by the corner post, "you could make her move the whole thing." "I don't want her to move it." He looks up. "You don't?" "No," I smile. "I want to use it." He raises an eyebrow. "This isn't about the swing anymore, is it?" "It's not about the swing." I ask Troy to email me the official report. He does. I print it, laminate it, and hang it on the fence next to a new panel. A cartoon version of a surveyor holding up a map while a blonde woman in oversized sunglasses tries to snatch it from his hands. It's not subtle. The next morning, Reagan's sprinkler mysteriously malfunctions and soaks her own flower beds. I can't prove she tried to re-aim it at the fence, but I do see her out there in slippers and a towel, swearing at the nozzle. Later that week, I receive another HOA email, this time from Dale, who has officially stopped using "warmly" in his sign-offs. Now it's just Dale. He asks if I'm open to mediation. I reply with a photo of Marble the cat sitting next to a sign that reads, "All conflicts must be resolved via interpretive fence art." Emma helps me paint that one. By this point, the mural has expanded across 10 full panels. It's no longer just about the swing. It's about property, boundaries, voice. There's a panel that shows a faceless crowd pointing in different directions, while a single figure, modeled on me, obviously, plants a flag on a tiny hill. Another shows a paintbrush transforming into a swing mid-air. Emma said that one was her favorite. "I like how it means the art is the swing now," she explains. "Like you gave it back to me." That one hits harder than I expect. Because she's right. I couldn't yank the swing out of Reagan's yard without a scene. But I could rewrite the narrative, reclaim the emotion, make the injustice public in the most poetic PG-13 way possible. Still, even as the mural grows, I sense the storm building. One afternoon, while I'm adding detail to the billboard panel, I hear a throat clear behind me. I turn and find myself face to face with a man in a navy windbreaker and khakis. Sunglasses, clipboard, HOA badge. He doesn't introduce himself. "I've been asked to assess the nature of your display," he says. "It's a mural," he hums. That remains to be determined. I gesture to the laminated survey still pinned to the fence. This fence is 6 inches into my property. This is my side of that fence. I can paint what I want, unless it disrupts community cohesion. That phrase again. I step back, brush in hand. Tell me something. Is it the paint that's disruptive or the story it tells? He doesn't answer, just snaps a photo with his tablet, scribbles something on his clipboard, and walks off. That night, I can't sleep. Not because I'm scared. Not exactly. But because I realize if they push me to take it down, they won't be doing it because I broke a rule. They'll be doing it because they're uncomfortable, because I didn't handle it quietly, because I responded, and they're not used to that. Reagan is definitely not used to that. So the next morning I wake up early, pull on jeans, grab my brushes, and start on the biggest panel yet. It spans 4 fence boards, deep, vivid colors, a family, me, Emma, and Marble the cat, all seated on a giant tire swing, floating in midair above the neighborhood. Below us, identical beige houses. Above us, wild stars. Painted words swirl along the curve of the tire. You can take the swing from the girl, but not the story from her father. Emma watches me finish the final stroke. She's quiet. Then she says, "Can we swing on that one someday?" I ruffle her hair. We already are. Later that day, I catch Reagan peeking through her blinds. She doesn't come out, doesn't scream, doesn't send another email. But that night, the sprinkler's gone. And in its place, a tiny, solar-powered light angled toward the mural. The next morning, a sticky note appears on my mailbox. No name, just handwriting I don't recognize. It was a cruel thing she did, but you made something kind out of it. I read it twice. Then I pin it next to Marble, right between the family on the swing and the cartoon of me with steam coming out of my ears. Because this story, it isn't over. But for the first time, I'm not the only one telling it. By now, the fence has a fan base. I'm not kidding. People walk their dogs past it deliberately slow. Teenagers take selfies in front of the Billboard panel. Someone, I still don't know who, left a tiny plastic tire swing dangling from the corner post. It sways every time the wind picks up, like it's nodding along in approval. Even the Amazon guy paused last week and said, "Dude, I saw this on TikTok. You're fence dad, right?" I never set out to be fence dad. But here we are. And now that the HOA's threats have quieted and Reagan's motion sensor sprinklers mysteriously stopped working, possibly due to a strategic encounter with a very persistent squirrel, no idea how that happened, I realize I've hit a rare golden moment. They've gone quiet, which means it's time to go loud, not obnoxious, not hostile, strategic. Remember that 6-inch property line advantage? I'd confirmed it with Troy, printed it out, laminated it, and posted it. But I hadn't used it. Not really. Not until I realized that because Reagan's fence juts into my property, the entire visible surface facing my yard belongs to me. And the HOA can't regulate something built entirely on my land. That means I can build anything I want. A wall, a display, a canvas, a billboard. That's when I start sketching. I go to Home Depot and buy a stack of exterior-grade plywood. I weather seal the backs, cut everything to exact specs. I pre-paint them in the garage, Emma helping me with bold color blocks and outlines. It takes 2 weekends of work, multiple covert trips to the lumber yard, and a very curious neighbor who offered me Gatorade and whispered, "Are you building a theater set or a revenge monument?" "Bit of both," I said. What I construct is simple, really. I bolt the plywood panels inches in front of Reagan's fence, but entirely within my property line. Raised just enough to make it unmissable from her kitchen window. Then I paint the final mural. I go full maximalist, bright colors, clean outlines, thick comic book style panels. A step-by-step graphic story, no words needed. Panel 1, a happy girl swinging from a blue tire. Panel 2, someone with sharp red nails cutting the rope. Panel 3, the swing hanging from the wrong tree, drooping. Panel 4, the same girl standing beneath a blank wall, paintbrush in hand. Panel 5, the wall transformed into a galaxy of stars, swings, and messages. Panel 6, the girl, older now, soaring high above the neighborhood, clutching a paintbrush in one hand, a tire swing in the other. I add no text except at the very bottom, where I paint in gold block letters. Art is how we take our power back. The night I finish it, Emma and I sit on the porch together, sipping root beer floats like it's the premiere of some indie film. "I love it," she says simply. "It's like we finished the story." "We did," I nod. Now it belongs to everyone. Not even 24 hours later, Reagan reacts. She doesn't knock, doesn't yell. She just drags a 12-foot sheet of canvas across her yard and tries to staple it over the billboard from her side of the fence. The problem? She can't reach it. The billboard sits flush against my support posts, and there's no legal way for her to attach anything to my property from her yard. So she just stands there for a while, canvas bunched in her fists, looking furious and a little lost. She calls the HOA. Again. I get another visit from Dale, who by now looks like he's aged a decade since this all started. He glances at the panels, exhales. I assume you know exactly how far onto your property this is? Would you like to see the laminated survey again? I offer, holding it up like a fast food menu. He doesn't take it. Instead, he looks at the mural for a long moment. His eyes land on the final panel, the girl flying over the rooftops, triumphant. It's actually kind of beautiful, he admits. I don't gloat. I just shrug. Sometimes the truth is. Then, for the first time since this whole thing began, he says something unexpected. I had a swing like that, he murmurs. My dad built it. Lost it when we moved. Always regretted not taking it with me. He turns, walks back to his Prius, and drives off without another word. The next day, the HOA newsletter hits inboxes. There, in the middle of the page, is a new section called Creative Use of Space, highlighting ways residents have brought color and meaning to our community. Guess whose fence is the full-width image? Yep. They even call it the fence story. Emma prints out a copy and tapes it to our fridge. Reagan? Well, Reagan stops trying to cover the billboard after that. Stops speaking to me entirely. But she does rip the swing down from her tree the same afternoon the newsletter goes out. I find it discarded by the curb, paint faded, rope fraying. Emma sees it too. I kneel beside her and say, "Want me to hang it again?" She looks at the old tire, then back at the mural. "Nah, I like what we made better." I nod. That night, I paint one last thing, small, hidden in the corner near the ground like a signature. Just a single word. Emma. Because no matter how this started, or how petty it looked from the outside, this was always for her. To remind her that her voice matters, that her dad showed up, that even in a world of fences, she can always make space for herself, especially when someone tries to take it away. 2 weeks after the final mural goes up, something strange happens. A minivan slows to a crawl in front of my house, then parks. Out steps a woman I don't recognize, with 2 kids and a giant iced coffee balanced in one hand. She walks up, phone in the other, filming the mural. "This is it," she says, gesturing toward the fence. "This is the one I told you about, the tire swing saga." She notices me in the driveway, halfway through untangling Christmas lights from a box marked Summer. Do not open. "Oh my gosh," she says. "Are you Fence Dad?" I blink. "I guess so." She lights up like I just offered her concert tickets. "We saw your story on TikTok. My sister posted it. She's in North Carolina." I glance at her phone. Sure enough, there it is. One of the panels with 320,000 likes and a caption that reads, "When your neighbor steals your kid's swing, so you turn her fence into a masterpiece." I laugh. I had no idea this made it past the HOA. She grins. The internet lives for petty justice with good lighting. That day alone, 5 different people stopped to look at the mural. One man leaves a bag of sidewalk chalk on my porch with a note that says, "Keep telling your story." It's weird, but in a good way. A week later, I get an email from a reporter at the Denver Gazette. She wants to feature the mural in a piece about suburban rebellion through creativity. I agree, on one condition: no last names. I don't need Reagan knowing she made the papers. They send a photographer. Emma insists on holding Marble the cat, the real one, during the photo. She grins so big I almost forget how this all started. Until Reagan makes her move. It's subtle at first. She plants a hedgerow right in front of the fence. 4 tiny green bushes spaced evenly like guards. Then a week later, a second row. Taller. She's trying to block the view of the billboard. It doesn't work. Not yet. But I can see the plan, give it time, and the bushes will grow tall enough to obscure the whole mural. And the kicker, she files a petition with the HOA to recognize the hedge as a natural barrier for privacy, which, if approved, means I won't be allowed to maintain or repaint the billboard if it's no longer visible from the street. It's petty. It's strategic. It's exactly her style. I don't respond, not at first. I just take a breath, let it sit. Then I call up Troy again. "You still have that copy of the survey?" I ask. He emails it in 5 minutes. The next day, I send a formal letter to the HOA. Short, precise. I attach the survey. Then I attach a copy of Reagan's hedge petition and highlight one key detail. Her bushes are planted within my property line by 6 inches. Again. Dale replies the next morning. After review of the submitted documents and property survey, we have determined that the hedge in question crosses into your property and therefore does not qualify as an independent privacy barrier. It must be removed or replanted within the adjoining residence boundaries within 10 business days. I don't even need to say a word. Reagan digs them up herself. I watch from my kitchen window as she yanks each bush out like she's trying to erase history with a shovel. She's red-faced, muttering to herself, and wearing a shirt that says, "Wine is my love language," which I file away as unintentionally poetic. Emma sees it too. She looks mad. Probably just landscaping therapy. Later that week, I notice something even stranger. Reagan starts painting. Not on her fence. On her back patio wall, abstract blobs, unfinished flowers. Not bad, honestly. A little stiff, but you can tell she's trying. It's weirdly humanizing. We don't speak, but one evening, as I'm bringing in the trash cans, I find a package on my porch. No return label. Inside, a box of chalk pastels, a thank you card signed only with an R, no apology, no admission, but maybe a small silent peace offering. I leave it on the kitchen table. That weekend, the mural is featured in a local online art blog. The headline is ridiculous. "The fence heard round the block. How one dad used paint to reclaim a swing and his voice." Emma reads it out loud in a dramatic voice while I make pancakes. "You're famous," she announces. "Locally infamous," I correct. Same thing. She's not wrong. Because here's the thing. I didn't set out to make a point. I just wanted my daughter to have her swing back. But somehow, this messy, absurd feud became a way to say something louder. About boundaries. About voice. About what happens when people forget they live next to humans, not just houses. And yeah, maybe that message landed. I get an email from a dad in Ohio says he's building a mural with his son after the neighbor complained about their trampoline. A mom from Oregon messages to say she painted their shed door with fence flowers, and it brought her daughter out of a summer funk. Emma reads every message with wide eyes. "Do we get to keep the mural forever?" she asks one night as we walk around the yard. I pause. "What do you think?" she shrugs. "I think even if it goes away, the story doesn't." Smart kid. She runs ahead with Marble trotting behind her. I stand at the edge of the yard, looking at the mural glowing in the last gold light of evening. The billboard still stands. Reagan's fence still leans into my property. But for the first time in months, everything feels still. Like maybe we all stopped fighting long enough to listen. And maybe, just maybe, the mural's not the only thing that's grown. It's late September when the fence comes down. I come home from work to find half of it stacked in neat splintered panels by the curb, the other half still standing like the remains of a set from a one-man stage play. The Billboard mural, the one that turned a stolen swing into a viral legend, is cut in two. At first I freeze, just stand there in the driveway holding my thermos like it might offer an answer. Emma's not home yet. She's at her friend Josie's house for a movie night. And maybe that's a blessing. Because when I walk into the backyard and see that jagged break right through the panel where the little girl soared over the rooftops, arms outstretched, swing in hand, something tightens in my chest. I didn't cry when I first saw the swing was gone. I didn't cry when Reagan told me it wasn't mine. I didn't cry when I realized the HOA was going to look the other way. But now, staring at this mural, this story broken open like a book someone ripped in half, it hits me. Not because it was vandalized. It wasn't. A quiet notice from the HOA had arrived a week prior, informing all homeowners that unauthorized structures within property setback lines would be removed as part of a neighborhood-wide compliance sweep. It wasn't personal, they said. It always is. I run my hand along the raw wood edge where the mural ends mid-stroke. I can still see Emma's chalk outlines underneath the last panel, her version of Marble, a heart next to it. Gone now. That night, I don't touch the rubble. I sit on the porch with the porch light off, sipping cold coffee in the dark, listening to crickets and the occasional hiss of sprinklers kicking on across the block. Reagan's house is dark too. No lights, no sounds. Maybe she's gone for the weekend, or maybe she's just avoiding the fallout. By morning, I make a decision. Not to rebuild, not exactly, but not to let it end here either. Emma gets home around lunchtime and runs straight out back. She freezes mid-step, eyes wide as she takes in the fence, or what's left of it. "It's gone," she says quietly. "Most of it," I nod. Her face crumples. "Why would they take it down?" I kneel next to her. "Because they thought it was over." "But it was ours," she says. "We made it. We still did," I tell her, "and they can't take that part." We sit there a while. Then I say, "Want to do something weird?" She looks at me. "Help me carry what's left into the garage." So we do. We salvage every painted panel still intact, lay them out on tarps, reseal the weathered edges. Emma insists on retouching marble stripes with new pastels. That night, I begin building again, but not on the fence. In the garage, on walls I own. We turn one side into a gallery, panel by panel, a timeline, a story, a legacy. And then, quietly, something beautiful happens. People start asking if they can see it. First, it's Josie's mom. Then the guy down the street who helped us move a sofa last year. Then a couple who said they followed the whole Fence Dad saga online and were in town for a wedding. So we host our first garage gallery night. We hang up string lights, serve lemonade and popcorn. Emma wears a homemade badge that says Curator. Everyone laughs at the perspective mirror panel. Someone leaves a note in the guest book that reads, "I came for the drama, but I stayed for the heart." Word spreads. One weekend, a local teacher brings her art class to see the panels. The kids sit cross-legged on our driveway while Emma explains how the story started with a missing swing. "And what did you do about it?" the teacher asks gently. Emma shrugs. "We made more art." It's hard to explain how much that moment means to me. How seeing her own voice shine through, not just in paint, but in confidence, feels bigger than any mural we ever made. That's when I know. This was never about the fence. Not really. Not about Reagan, or the HOA, or even the swing. It was about what we do when something we love is taken. About the space we make to heal. Weeks later, I'm raking leaves in the front yard when Reagan walks past with a grocery bag in hand. I brace myself for a snide comment or a pointed silence. Instead, she pauses. "You know," she says, not looking directly at me, "it was just a swing." "I know," I reply, "but it wasn't." She nods once, then walks on. I don't chase after her. Don't press for more. Some stories don't need sequels. That night, I add one final piece to the gallery, a small wooden plaque beneath the last panel. It reads, "What's taken can't always be returned, but it can be rewritten." Emma adds a sticker of marble curled into a paintbrush. We hang it together, and we leave the garage door open, just a crack, because you never know who might need to walk through and see what's possible when you turn a fence into a canvas and a problem into a story worth telling.